Hi and welcome to my channel. So there's very good news today. I'm so excited. I think 2022 is definitely going to be the best year because the UK government has officially made a statement, on their website by supporting the fact that not only are they going to continue recruiting carers from overseas, but they're actually putting in a lot of money, in fact, a lot of funding to aid with the process. So as you know, the 15th of February is the day that, this particular carer visa was due for review to decide whether it's going to stay on the shortage occupation list so that companies can continue to recruit overseas, or whether they're going to stop recruiting carers from overseas. Because the truth is that the carer salary, obviously being £20,000 per year, it needs to be and remain on the shortage occupation list for recruiters as well as UK companies to be able to recruit from overseas. If it loses the status on that list, then it loses the ability to recruit from overseas because you need at least about £25,000 in annual salary for it to get through. So this is a huge success. If anybody's been worrying about this particular visa, am I still able to apply? Which means that for the next 1 year, we are sure that the UK is officially going to continue recruiting carers. And so it's very exciting news. It is very, very welcome. And it's something that is absolutely worth celebrating. And I'm actually ecstatic and over the moon, reading that particular document from the government. So obviously, if you're new to my channel, you're welcome here. Such a privilege to have you on here. If you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate your time. And look, in this video, I'm going to be telling you what this means for you if you're currently applying for career jobs to move to the UK, how to proceed, and what you can expect going forward, thinking and considering this particular pathway. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, obviously you do want to hit subscribe right now. Turn on that notification button so you're the first person to be notified every single time when I drop a new video on here. But one thing, look, I do have a newsletter where I can provide this information directly to your inbox. So if you're keen on joining my newsletter, which if you're watching this video right now, if you've clicked on this video, then yes, 100% you should be. Check the comment section below. You're going to see a link to my newsletter. You join that newsletter. All you need to do to join is drop your name and email. It's not even going to take you up to 20 seconds to do that. And then you can have that information obviously sent directly to you, because I don't want you relying on the YouTube algorithm to get information that is so vital for your personal and professional growth. So obviously, you want to join that newsletter. So what does this actually mean for you if you're currently, applying for these jobs? And before I actually get started, if you're new here and we don't know each other, my name is Melvis. I work for the NHS in England as an advanced nurse practitioner. I actually started my career in the UK as a carer, so I do empathize and I understand the challenges that, fellow colleagues face trying to get these carer jobs. I eventually then studied as an international student. Now, as an advanced nurse practitioner, I have done quite a lot, in between that time. And so I have a private career coaching service where I support with career progression in the UK. So if you're looking for carer jobs, for example, you're in the UK, you're looking for career progression pathways, say you're a carer, you want to transition, into nursing or midwifery or medicine or all these other courses, or if you're a qualified nurse already and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I was a nurse back home, how do I get back into nursing? Or how do I progress in my career so that I don't get stuck as a band 5 nurse, but I actually become, say, a specialist nurse, advanced nurse practitioner, or, a nurse lecturer or a nurse endoscopist, any of the specialist nursing pathways, management, then my private coaching program will provide you with all the necessary resources that you need and that you deserve to have in order to excel, to thrive, and continue to progress here in the UK. So look, it's not only about getting to the UK. As you know, if you watch any of my other videos, I'm very passionate about when you get to the UK, what else do you do with yourself? What else can you do? That is what I'm really keen on. But I do understand that you need to get here first before you're thinking about this career progression. So again, if you check the About section of my YouTube channel here, then you can see a link to join my private coaching program. And please do consider that if you are keen on career progression or if you're struggling with any of these pathways, so they can get that support that you obviously need and rightfully so deserve. So again, the government has put down £15 million, which is a whole lot of money. And I'm going to focus here on what this money is going to be spent on from the perspective of a candidate rather than the perspective, say, of, somebody who is managing, a nursing home or whatever. So to get started, this money is going to go to, say, residential homes, nursing homes, small businesses, independent healthcare organizations. And the government has actually said that they understand the challenges that UK companies face with overseas recruitment. And one thing that I really enjoyed from the document was the government acknowledging the fact that these companies don't have a lot of experience with overseas recruitment because obviously it is new for carers, but companies such as, organizations such as the NHS that have been recruiting overseas for several years already have a lot of safe practice. And this is something that is so important for this carer pathway because, like I say, I have a private coaching program where I support carers to get jobs, and I ever only recommend, you know, those ethical recruiters, because there are many recruiters that would charge candidates, for example, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000 for a certificate of sponsorship, which should not be the case. The government has acknowledged those challenges. The fact that businesses are incurring so many costs, to recruit from overseas, and so it is causing many of these ethical companies to stop recruiting overseas. The government wants that they should use this money to support them to recruit more from overseas, so that if the problem that they're facing is financial, then they've got the money in place to support them so that they're able to recruit. Also, the government has said that there are other companies now that are not recruiting from overseas, that they can also use this money from their local authority to be able to apply for, say, licenses in order to be able to recruit overseas. So what you can expect to see, in the next few months, is that more companies will be able to recruit from overseas. More nursing homes will be able to recruit from overseas. More residential homes will be able to recruit from overseas. And this is going to be game changing. So if you're keen, if you don't have your passport yet, let me say this. Look, I want you to leave a comment in the comment section and say, Melvis, I will implement. I've got my passport, because I've been singing this here every time. If you watched any of my previous videos, you know what I'm talking about. If you're trying to travel overseas, the least you can do is make a passport. You don't even know which country you're going. You don't even need to decide on the country. You've got to have a passport, because when opportunities like this come, those people that are ready are the ones that are going to make the most of it. So it's going to be just like it was at the beginning of this, visa. When people that were ready, it was so easy to come to the UK. I used to apply, I used to support candidates to apply for jobs, and within a month, everybody had a job already. But now it is very challenging. And if you're currently applying for these jobs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this opportunity that the government has given is going to open doors for many candidates. Is going to mean that more companies will be able to recruit from overseas, because they can make use of this money from the local authorities. If you're watching this as well and you have, a healthcare company, for example, you need to apply through your local authority so that you have access to this funding in order to carry out that ethical recruitment. One of the things that I really like as well, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video, I want you to just like the video, because it lets me know that you're enjoying content like this, and obviously I should do more. Also share with your fellow friends, your colleagues, so that they can benefit from this information. But most importantly, join my newsletter so that I can send this information directly to your inbox. Because look, these are opportunities that are once in a lifetime opportunities. Moving to the UK through this pathway, it is the cheapest, the most cost effective way of moving to the UK, rather than say the student pathway that is very, very incredibly expensive at the moment, with tuition fees in excess of about £17,000 for some universities. That's a whole lot of money. But with this pathway, you're going to be paid, in order to work, and this is going to lead to your indefinite leave to remain in the UK and a British passport after 6 years. So you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. You want to make sure that you're persistent. If you've been discouraged about applying for jobs, if you applied for so many jobs, on Indeed or wherever, and you're thinking, oh my God, is this the end? Look, you need to carry on applying for those jobs. And I want you to leave in a comment in the comment section, say, Melvis, I will implement. I will keep applying for those jobs. I'm going to put in more effort. I'm going to keep an eye for more opportunities, new companies coming up. And that is how you should be, staying positive, because take this as a new beginning. Take this as as a new dawn, so that you're able to apply for those jobs, whether you're in the UK or out of the UK, obviously, because there are also people in the UK who need these visas, who've come as students or through other pathways, dependent visas. And so you want to make sure you stay positive and stay persistent, because look, negativity is obviously not going to help. So again, leave a comment and say, Melvis, I will implement. If you've got any further questions, I want you to leave them here. And so one thing that I'm also going to say that I like about this funding is the government has identified the challenges that candidates also face when they move to the UK. The fact that getting affordable housing can be very challenging. And so the government has said that they're going to be making available this funding as well for some of these companies to support the candidates when they first arrive the UK. Housing, for example, is difficult. If you're coming from overseas, a private UK landlord is going to say to you, look, you need references. How do you get references if you're brand new to the UK? It's not possible. If you don't know people in this country, how do you survive? So the government has acknowledged all of that and said that this money is going to be to help, so that that accommodation can be provided. So I'm urging recruiters as well, those people that have those healthcare companies, nursing homes, residential homes, to make sure that when they take this money from the government, they're actually supporting the candidates, rightfully so, in order to settle in beautifully and smoothly in this beautiful country, so that the experience of moving to the UK is a positive experience, as it should be, rather than a negative experience like it has been the case over the last year for many of these candidates that have taken the time, they have given up their lives back home, they have left their kids, their countries, to come to this country and be left disappointed. I think it is incredibly disappointing, and I do hope that, as the government has provided these funds, provided this money, it is used rightfully as it should. So again, one of the things that the government has identified obviously is career progression as well, as well as that pastoral support. Because look, it is difficult when you're in a new country. Transportation, how do you get to have a driving license? How do you get to go around? The government has said that this has been a challenge in the last year, and they are also providing this money so that candidates can be supported through. So I'm going to be really keen on following through, with all of this, checking those people that have access to this money, making sure that I'm only recommending, as I've always done, I'm only sharing vacancies for people that are ethical, ethical recruiters from companies that are not going to be charging candidates, huge amounts of money, obviously, for this certificate of sponsorship, because I do understand the costs that are incurred by the organization sponsoring. But I think that with the government kind of trying to offset some of these costs, it's also going to help those small businesses, in order to thrive. Because the truth is, I have friends that have got healthcare companies. Some of my members in my private coaching program have healthcare companies, but they're not able to recruit overseas because of the cost. So I hope that this is going to open the doors for such small businesses to be able to get the license to recruit from overseas. Because the truth is, there's not enough workers in the UK, and with over 180,000 vacancies within the adult health and social care at the moment, as we speak, I think overseas recruitment is the best option. While obviously they're looking at other strategies to support with retention, because it's not enough obviously to recruit people, but you've got to have a way of keeping them. So like I said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you do want to hit subscribe now. You don't want to be a stranger on here, so that when there's any new video, you're the first to be notified, you're the first to be informed. But most importantly, if you join that newsletter, then I can send that information directly to your inbox, so that there's that convenience and it kind of bypasses that YouTube algorithm. But most importantly, if you need my support, if you need my one-to-one support, to be with you, then obviously you do need to be part of my private coaching program, where we have weekly live sessions, normally on Thursdays, CV reviews, job opportunities, who is recruiting, like I say, ethical recruiters. We can go through things in detail, and it just kind of manages the time and manages the group numbers so that it is very sustainable. Because like I say, it's a very time consuming process, and you want to make sure that you're doing it right. You want to make sure that you're spot on. You want to make sure that your CV is reflecting what is needed, because that's a challenge now with thousands of applicants currently recruiting. You want to be able to stand out. And how do you do that? You do that by presenting yourself in the best possible way, being able to meet the needs of the recruiting organization. And that is what you're going to get from being a member of Nursing Career Bootcamp, which again, like I said, if you check the about section of this YouTube channel, you can see a link there to join. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you have any other personal questions you're thinking, oh my god, I don't want to leave it here on YouTube, do feel free to use my newsletter. I may not be able to respond immediately because I get huge volumes of messages through my newsletter, but I do eventually get to those questions, and I can go through them. So do bear with me, please. If there are any delays, it's not that I haven't seen your messages or I'm ignoring the messages, but I will eventually get to it, because obviously I'm working as well. I always prioritize obviously my coaching program, so I'll get to it eventually. But if it's easier, just leave it on here and I'll be able to respond to it as well. So how do you find this news? Is it worth it? Is it worthy? Yes, it is worthy. How has the process been for you? Are you already in the UK right now? Are you still out of the UK? What is your thought process about this? And look, overall, this is incredible news. I'm ecstatic about this, and I'm really looking forward to the next 12 months until the government obviously needs to review. Because look, this is a year by year kind of strategy. It's going to be reviewed yearly, which means that the whole agenda is that if enough people are recruited from overseas, then this carer pathway can be removed from the shortage occupation list like it used to be. But I don't see this happening anytime soon because, like I said, with 180,000 vacancies, is that going to happen? You know, it's going to take a lot of time, especially if they don't have good retention strategies for these people. But most importantly, career progression, because some of the carers that have come to the UK, for example, in the last year, I've already supported them to get into nursing. Four of our carers in January this year started their nursing, and all four carers moved to the UK last year. Many other carers that are part of my private coaching program have supported them to get their NMC PIN numbers because they were qualified nurses and midwives back home before coming. But because of the challenges with IELTS and OET, English tests, they had to come to the UK as carers. So again, these are all things that you need to consider. These are all things that the government needs to consider, through this pathway. Otherwise, it's going to be a challenge, because if people are coming as nurses, give them the support they need because the UK needs nurses as well. So that's what this is all about. So please, please, if you've been feeling discouraged, applying for carer jobs, you need to keep applying because it's only by applying that you stand any chance whatsoever of getting a job. So again, do share this with your friends, your loved ones, your mates, your colleagues who are interested in this pathway. And remember that you don't necessarily need to have any experience to apply for carer jobs, but you do need to have insight on what the role is. Even voluntary experience is something that is going to be incredibly relevant rather than just apply for jobs, just like that. Get some experience, see how you feel about the industry, about the sector, and make sure that you're making a very informed decision. So again, it's with incredible thanks that the government has given this money, and I really do hope that it is used for the right purposes as identified by the government itself, and that there is obviously follow up on how this money is being used so that it's given to the recruiters and to the companies that are doing that ethical recruitment to support the candidates move to the UK and have a beautiful life. Thank you. Keep watching the videos, and I'll see you obviously in the next video, because I've done videos about, requirements for carer jobs, what you need to apply for a visa, career progression pathways that you can have, alternative jobs that you can apply for that are not necessarily carer jobs, because you can not only come to the UK as a carer, there are other pathways as well that are available. But if you don't have this knowledge, it can be incredibly challenging. But everything needs a whole lot of patience to make sure that you follow due process and eventually get these jobs and move to this beautiful country. Again, I'm Nurse Melvis, and keep watching the videos. Bye for now, and do share, with your loved ones. I'll see you in the next